Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G, here with Speed Bancroft of Speedy Fresh Pizzas, and also a few other ventures that we're going to dive in and kind of learn the history of his entrepreneurial career, his entrepreneurial start, and just all the amazing things he's got going on with everything that he's doing. And before we get started, a big thanks to everyone that makes this possible, and that is Falaya Real Estate and Government Taco. Without further ado, Speed, welcome to the show, man.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you.
Yeah.
I've been seeing you on LinkedIn, seeing your pizza production and your progress over the last couple of months. And whenever I saw the other day, you're like the first pizza was produced fully?
Yeah, I think we went end to end for the first time.
Yes.
And I have to catch myself because sometimes I don't pay attention to what I put on LinkedIn and I'll get a call or my engineer will tell me, hey, you don't need to put all that stuff on there. I'll be like, oh, all right.
So the first pizza from end to end has been out there. And that's what the video I saw was like, okay, this is really cool. I got to learn about it. So what's your background, man? How did you get here and where are you from? What kind of a kid were you?
So I guess taking it back to a kid, I was always entrepreneurial. I was the guy at the pool. As my mom told me, I would walk around the pool and ask people for money. And I got enough money, I'd go get a cheeseburger. So I've been doing that since I was a little kid.
Would you sell anything? Or
no,
just
I wasn't selling anything. I was just asking them for money. I knew they had money because Dad told me, like, everybody here has got money. So I was like, all right, fine. So I guess that's, a little bit about my personality. I started my first entrepreneurial stint in Jackson, Mississippi, and I purchased my first business when I was 25. It was called Bancroft Paper and Chemicals. It was my father's paper company, and ran that for a little while. It was my first little stint. I did pretty good, I guess. I brought on a guy named Paul Laprousse, who's here in Baton Rouge, and Paul took over as CEO and kind of showed me kind of the ins and outs. He was a seasoned CFO. He knew a lot about financial controls and operations, and I just kind of studied him. In 2009, I got out of Jackson, came into Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and started my first startup company, which was a televised shopping show. And
televised shopping show. So
I had always seen, QVC, HSN, and I was always wondering why they didn't have like outdoor products on there, like stuff for guys or in general, just outdoor stuff where it was a niche market where you were just showing one type of stuff, like outdoor stuff, hunting, hiking, camping, cooking, grilling, stuff like that. So I started traveling around to the trade shows and talking to people, asking if they'd like to be on TV. And
I'm sure everybody's ears perked right
Oh, yeah.
up.
Well, back then, this is before, Amazon was big, but it hadn't caught on a lot.
What year are we in?
This is 2009, 2010.
Okay. 09, 10. Okay.
So I formed an LLC. It was called The Outdoor Shopper, and we affectionally called it TOS. And so trying to,
model after the QVC.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
So 2009, 2010, I started. It was a really sluggish start. I finally landed my first investor who we did a two-part investment. It was a $150,000 investment, but he put it in $75,000, and then 6 months later, he did another $75,000. It was a milestone-based approach.
Right.
And it was my first time to raise capital, so I didn't know any better. I was like, this guy's giving me money.
He's giving you money for something that's not real at the time.
Correct. And it was a sheet of paper that I had worked out some equations on, and what I'd talked to, I had some friends who connected me with Kevin Harrington, original Shark Tank from ABC Shark Tank or NBC. Yeah. So I connected with him.
Connection?
It was a local guy named Terry Jones.
Okay.
Who's from Baton Rouge. He connected me, and we started talking about the business model and the operational ratios, because that's really what I try to dial in on that kind of makes sense in my mind, and how a company should be run and how you should approach it. So he helped me understand what the typical ratios were for putting a product on TV and selling it, and then what do you charge the vendors? What do you do? What's the typical scenario? So he brought me through that, and then I started buying airtime and bringing people to the Celtic Media Center.
I think it's Celtic
Media
Studios,
Center.
but I could be wrong there. So Cody would know.
Yeah, and I was out there for like 3 years, and I did my first production with Jay Ducote, and that was at Giles Island, and we did it in one of my lodges, and we blacked out all the windows,
right?
And it was awesome. We told we have a crew out there, and we told them there's no driving by. Just be quiet. We didn't let the chef come in the kitchen that day, and so it was really just kind of like for us to do production. Tommy Talley, Caleb Michelson, Jay Ducote.
Tommy Talley, absolutely. All these names are familiar to me.
Yeah, I've worked with them for a number of years, and we've stayed friends since. But it was a great experience. I took that company. I raised $1.1 million over 3 years. Yeah, I started off with that $150,000. And I really got going good. But the long story short is before I sold my interest in that company, I believe I had 42% left after I'd raised the capital, which was pretty good for your first attempt or mine. And I got out and I learned the hard way that guys don't shop from TV the way that women do. So
yes,
that was long story short.
Yes, guys, we don't sit there and call the 1-800 number.
That's it.
It doesn't happen.
The traditional thing, and we never did like really huge deep discounts like we should have. And I didn't put that into place until after I'd gotten out, and I was like, we should have tried this. You start Monday morning.
$4 knives for $19.99.
Yeah, and I really started talking. I was talking to the guys at Bass Pro Shop, and they're like, "Man, we watch the show all the time, but you should have done this, this, and this." And it's it's traditional when you don't succeed at something, people
they
come
always
by
have
and they offer
their input,
input. And but to give you an idea of how that should have worked, you're supposed to have a 3-to-1 ratio for every ad dollar or ad expense you have, like buying airtime. You're supposed to produce $3 of sales and have a 50% margin. That's traditional. And I had a 0.7 over 1, 0.7 over 1 and a 37% GP margin. So it was way off. And, but we had a lot of fun. We got close to succeeding. We had a couple of big players in that space, like some of the guys at HSN that really were looking at us. And we just never were able to get serious traction.
So did you ever take time to go talk to Bass Pro or Cabela's to bring them on as a sponsor with any of it?
We looked at doing a kind of like a joint venture with Bass Pro, and we talked to one of my connections with Kevin Harrington and a guy named Bobby Mann. They knew Johnny, the owner of Bass Pro, who now owns Bass Pro and Cabela's. And I can't think of his last name, but they put me in touch with him. And we ran it by him, and there was a lot of interest, but we were so small at that time. We weren't breaking $1 million in sales, and that doesn't get anybody's blood boiling. That you need to be up there above 10 million, and
they got to see that traction.
Yeah, they want to see it, and although it's a great idea, it wasn't being executed properly. So, we were able to get through those channels, but not having the sales to back it up was kind of where it stopped.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. They want to find somebody that's already producing
and can
so
scale.
They can piggyback on and scale with their marketing dollars.
Correct. And we got close, like I said. We probably could have figured it out if I'd have kept raising capital, but at some point you gotta
pull the plug.
Yeah.
What made you want to pull the plug?
I just couldn't see getting from 0.7 to 3 the way that we were doing it, and the vendors that I was working with weren't the big players. They were the small mom and pop guys, and they didn't want to spend the money that I needed to do a real run. And a real run would be to have one player do $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in sales, and for that you need a really big bundle, and you need a deep discount so that the profitability from that product when it does sell is there. So we just I never was able to pull that together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you said you filmed one of these episodes at your lodge.
Yeah.
Your lodge meaning what exactly?
So my two sisters, Annalie and Holly. Holly lives here in Baton Rouge, and then Annalie lives in Austin. We own a private island over in Natchez, and we run a hunting operation.
Private island?
Yeah.
How big is the island?
10,000 acres.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
How do you come about purchasing a 10,000 acre island?
So there was a recession. This was when I was a kid, and there was a recession in the 80s. And when they came out of that in 89, the land was being sold for dirt cheap. And we bought that property for $300 an acre.
$300 an acre?
Yeah, $300 an acre.
Holy smoke.
Yeah, and
Dude,
it was a great
incredible.
purchase. And we had some property up north. It was called Beulah. I forgot the name of the city that it was out of, but we had a big ice storm, and we were using that property for fishing and squirrel hunting mostly. And they tore out all the tops of the trees after the ice storm. So when that happened, we were using it for squirrel hunting. It decimated the squirrel population. So we started looking for property, and my dad specifically told the broker, the guy that we were using, the agent, we were looking for an island. Because he wanted something similar to Davis Island, which is north out of Vicksburg. So he grew up hunting on Davis Island, and he said, I want something very similar to that. And I think he was searching for maybe 2 years, something like that. And finally in 91, 92, he found it and purchased it.
That's incredible. So it's a family-run hunting property.
Yeah, my sister's more deeply involved, Holly is, than I am. It's a small mom and pop type thing. It pays the maintenance, taxes, and insurance of the property so that we can still enjoy it. And we have a successful hunting operation where we sell 3-day hunts. And we have a lot of clients around Baton Rouge. They're mostly oil and gas and construction.
Okay. So you've got these two ventures that run together and look very similar because they're in the same field. So very big hunting, fishing, outdoors.
Yeah, that's where I got the idea, sitting on the deer stand, wondering why they don't do. That's where it started.
Why can't you be scrolling through your phone looking
exactly.
at
See somebody demo something,
Oh, the geofencing around every wooded area.
Yeah.
That's what you should have been targeting like all the hunting clubs.
That was it. As soon as you get in there.
You get in the stand and they know like it's only alive from like 5 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, and if it's a certain temperature in that area, we sell you jackets or something like that.
Or you sell, like during the summertime, you sell the thermocells.
Yeah.
Trying to push thermocells on everybody. Like, get a text notification. Are you getting bit by mosquitoes? Sure am.
How did you know?
So you move out of all of these and you go into pizza making.
Yeah.
How do we get there?
So I went to a McDonald's one day. I was going to visit my dad. He lives in Monroe. And I was driving back from Monroe, and I stopped off at McDonald's to get a biscuit, a breakfast sandwich. And the lady there really let me have it. Apparently their credit card machine went down.
Okay.
And they had put an 8.5 by 11 out on where you order. They had this huge billboard.
Right.
And they had this little 8.5 by 11 on the supporting beam that was holding the sign up. You don't think to look there, but they had it there and it was held up on the vertical tabs. So when the wind blew, it folded over. But I wouldn't have looked at it anyway. When I got to the thing, I placed my order. And when I got to the window, she's kind of like, let me have it. Like, can't you read? Like something like that to that extent. And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. She said, our credit card machine is down. You got to pay cash. But it was in a way, it was a very derogatory experience.
Right.
After that, on the way home, I was like, I want to build an automated hamburger system where you don't ever have to deal with that. So that was in 2015. And by 2016, I'd built a bench model of an automated pizza kitchen in my living room.
So why did it shift from hamburgers to pizza?
So I did the capital requirements budget on that system, and it was like 1.6 million to build a prototype.
Okay.
And I went to the LA Tech Park, and I'd met with a bunch of the people, and it actually started off as a picture of a box. And
like
that's what
just
like
a
box, like an industrial image.
Okay.
And it was just a box. And I went to the LA Tech Park before I built my first thing was I came up with the idea. I went to the tech park and I said, I'm going to build an automated hamburger system. And they said, okay, well, let's hear this pitch. And I said, well, here it is. Here's a
Here's
picture
the box.
of a box. And they're like, no, man, you got to go and do all the designing and all this kind of stuff. So I didn't have any designing experience, but I just know how to do it. I don't know how to figure it out. But like I work now with real mechanical engineers like Sanjay, who's here. And they're real design. I mean, I just have a knack for it. But they said, start working on it and build something that you can explain to us how it goes from process to process. So I went to Dakota's Supply over off of Florida, and I started buying pieces of componentry, which looked a certain way of how I had the system working in my mind. And so I built that thing, put it in my living room, and I had it there for about a year, and I got it to where I think I probably could have built an automated hamburger system based on what I had put together, even though they weren't technical specs. But I just felt like, this, I know I could do it.
Yeah.
And then I did the analysis on it, the cost analysis, and I got with a couple different engineering firms, and it was at 1.6 to build it. And I was like, no, I can't.
That's a little high.
Yeah. I mean, look, if we were in Silicon Valley, probably, I could probably have already done that. But we're not. We're in Louisiana. People are used to oil and gas. And it's very difficult to come up with a new concept, especially I'm not an engineer. I'm not really like somebody who would say,
you don't have that technical background.
Yeah, I don't. And so I had to come up with a design. I ended up designing an automated fried chicken restaurant, like Raising Cane's.
Okay.
And I did that, and still have those designs. But then again, you have the budget problem. So I went to pizza, and then I figured out how to do the pizza, and I scaled it down to a very simple design and heating and holding. Since my hamburger design was heating and holding, because you have to manage the drive-through, you have to manage walk-in traffic. It's a full-blown restaurant,
right?
Like a QSR, like a McDonald's.
Yeah, it's a restaurant in a box.
Yeah, and you have to do heating and holding, and that was my whole philosophy. And it carried over into the design for the pizza, and that's when I figured out, hey, wait, if I put these things in high traffic areas, I can do heating and holding for the pizza, because I knew the background on the pizza and how long the dough would last in a warmer that was humidity assisted. I did the research, and I knew that I could hold the pies in a refrigerated state for up to 3 days, 72 hours, and then I could cook the pizzas and store them in a warmer for up to 2 hours. And then I built everything else around that.
So you said you knew the background of pizza dough. Were you in a pizza environment beforehand, or were you doing the research just for this project?
I was Googling it. I did my research on Google.
Google's the best research tool,
everything's
right?
on there, and you can watch YouTube videos. And I got used to watching it. I hired a consultant. I can't remember her name, but she owns a website called Bakerpedia. Or Bakerspedia.
Okay.
Yeah, and I hired her as a consultant, and I asked her a gazillion questions about shelf life before and after cooking. And so I came up with that, and then I researched warmers, and they already had a warmer out on the market that did something similar. And then so I knew
You knew there was the tools that you needed to build this prototype to one day be a product.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what were you doing like in the meantime to finance all of this? I mean, this is not an inexpensive operation.
No,
was it from past ventures?
It takes a really long time to find your first investor, and that's really difficult. And the design has actually changed multiple iterations since I raised my first amount of capital. My first investor was Waiters Chris Moe. And
really?
Chris, I traveled over to he had a branch in Lafayette, and I think his headquarters was in Lake Charles, but I went over to Lafayette and I walked into his thing. He had like hundreds of people. It's crazy. And he was just going it was crazy. I was really inspired. Yeah. And he sat down and he gave me an hour with his crew and everybody else. And I told him what I wanted to do. And he was like, all right, I'll come in if you do this. And he was like, raise $250,000, I'll give you X amount. And I was like, all right. So then I went to Mitch Rotolo. I never met him. I walked or drove up to his place and met with him face to face because that's the best way.
Well, yeah, it's especially in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
You got to bring him to lunch, bring him to dinner, face to face.
I had a sketch, kind of like a cocktail napkin.
Yeah.
And I sat down with Mitch, and I could tell Mitch was like, he loves this kind of stuff when I was talking to him because he was doing input just like Chris was. And he said, I'm in, but you got to, and I told him about the requirements. I had to raise X amount before I'd take any money from you. And so then I went to Ozzie Fernandez and Mark Graffignini, and Ozzie has Lit Pizza and Roca Pizza. And so I went to all the people that I knew would not just be, money. There would also be a wealth of knowledge for me.
100%. They've already got the experience. They've probably got the supply chains.
Yeah,
they've got the know-with-all. They've got all that technical experience. What temperature to bake it, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Everything you need to get a pizza from start to finish. They can tell you how to do it technically. Then you can bring in your engineer.
Yeah.
And actually make it actually function.
And then having them come in, and Sanjay's been there with us while Ozzie has come in. And we've cooked pizzas for him. So he's seen the process from start to finish, from end to end. He sees the end quality. So now they're like getting even more interested, trying to help me find other investors. But it really helps because like these guys have, the people that make some of the best products ingredients wise,
right?
In the US. And I was buying it initially, and I still do some of my testing with Albertsons stuff. He's just like,
so you just walk in Albertsons and buy the.
But I make a really good pizza with it. You got to admit, it's a really good pizza. I cook one for everybody here. They like it.
Okay, so when you were looking for your investors, you went for people specifically in your niche, in your area that you were actually going to be working. Do you think that was kind of an effective route to go?
Yeah, it was the only route. It was the only route. I had put Mitch and Ozzie and all these guys on a list as my must-haves. You got to have these people on board. And they carry a lot of weight. They know that. We've discussed it because of their knowledge and what they can do to help the company out. And so when I first started, after Chris came on board and I knew there was interest there, that's who I started targeting. And I knew how to get in touch with them, and I just got lucky getting the meetings and going up there and just kind of forcing it. Like, hey, here I am, deal with it. Like I'm going to do this. Can you help me?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it one way or another.
Yeah,
do you want to get on the ship or do you want to get off?
I may come up here once a week. So investing, you won't have to say you're paying me to go away.
right, and that. You say it with a light tone, and I fully understand where you're coming from, and I get that, pay me to leave, right? Pay me to stop showing up.
That's it.
But as a young entrepreneur, as any entrepreneur want to start a business, you've got to be that type of person.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Don't stalk them and go to like their basketball games. No,
that's it.
Like go to like show up in their office.
Boundary.
Right. There's a boundary. You don't want to cross the boundary.
Yeah. And I was contacting them, on Facebook, but I was doing it in such a way like Jay helped me reach. I tried to reach Ozzie a couple of times through social media. And some people that like Ozzie's really busy, so is Mitch. They don't check their inbox. And I'm like, even though one of their friends on Facebook, I don't check a lot of the people that write me because it goes to that other box or whatever it is.
I guess Facebook Messenger now, it's like two separate apps.
Yeah. And it's hard for me to check all that stuff too. So I thought that was going on. And then Jay Ducote stepped in. And Jay wrote a personal email to Ozzie and told him that Mitch was in and, this is Speed, my friend, all this kind of stuff. And then Ozzie replied finally.
Yeah. That's another thing to take into account is meet people, along the way. You don't know what kind of role they're going to play later on in your career. Yeah. Like you were doing something with Jay where it was an outdoor venture TV show and he was a host. Yeah. Like nothing to do with food. Yeah. Something to do with outdoors and products. And then later on you're able to leverage that relationship.
I kept good ties there.
Yeah.
And with Tom and all those guys. Because, those are the guys that I try to run with in business and I look up to. And, it's always good to work with those kind of people that are better. They're better than me. They work harder. So I want to be around them because they push me to do better, and they have a lot of connections, all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, well, then it's also important to know who knows who.
Yeah.
In the area that you're doing business, whether you be in Lake Charles and you got to know the Chris Moes, or you're in Baton Rouge and you got to know that whole circle of people.
That's right.
It's important to get in front of their faces to pitch your idea, because having someone introduce you to someone else is one of the biggest door openings you can ever have as an entrepreneur.
I'm the same way too. Somebody that I know introduces me, they go that extra mile. I feel, okay, there's got to be a reason for this. So then I talk to them. Yeah. Typically I won't, typically I'm just busy doing my own stuff.
No, I get it.
That's what I do all day.
Yeah. I get it. You're building your craft, you're building your product. You don't have time to sit and maybe take a lunch and meet with somebody.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I take my lunches up to the tech park every day and eat up there just so I can work closely with Sanjay. And I like watching him doing what he's doing, because he will, buy a particular piece or something like that off of Amazon or Automation Direct or wherever we source our products from, several different sources. But it's fun for me to watch, because I think I would have been, if I went back to college again, I definitely would have studied mechanical engineering, definitely. And I didn't catch that the first time around, and wasn't even close. I tried finance and I couldn't stand it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't.
You're a finance major?
No, I didn't graduate. I hated it. Never graduated. And when I was 23, I decided to step out of school, and I went and worked for my dad, because things in college for me just weren't working out. And that's when I went and started working, and I learned that I'm more of a tactile learner. And
like actually doing it hands-on.
Yeah, hands-on. And like I wouldn't sit there. I would sit there in my accounting classes and just glaze over. She's typically looking at some girl in the class and whatever, And so I wouldn't focus, and I didn't get bad grades. I just wasn't going like I should have.
Yeah.
To get out of there quick and get your degree and do all that. And then I got into the paper industry, and it was like, I love this. I went out, I was doing outdoor sales, and I was excelling and doing great. And then started learning different areas of the business. I put myself in to each position of that company. General manager, sales manager, warehouse. I loaded docks from age of 15 to 18 during the summers. And so I knew every part of that business by the time I was 23. 25 was when I bought it.
Okay. Are you still for $1,000?
Yeah.
Are you still in the business now?
No, I sold my interest when I was 29 or maybe 30. And I sold it to Paul. Paul decided to stick it out and stay in Jackson. And I wanted him to have every advantage that he could, because I admired him for staying in, because Jackson's a rough town. Right. And we were in the roughest part of it.
Oh, really?
Our warehouse, yeah. We got shot at. The warehouse got shot at several times. And then we got robbed.
Robbed?
Paul got robbed 4 times in 3 nights.
Wait.
Yeah.
So twice in one night?
Yeah. That's what I heard. And I think that was the story. He got robbed. And then the next night they came back. And then that third night they came back twice. So they're like watching the cops.
The same group of people?
I think. I don't know. I mean.
So they were just waiting for the cops to leave, and then they were going to go and bust up in there?
Yeah. And it was in a bad neighborhood. So it's not like you can't really surveil that area.
Right.
If you, take your own life, have value in your own life, you don't want to sit up there, especially after 5. So.
Wow. So is it still in existence today?
We sold it. He sold it eventually to a company called Laurel Paper. And I think they still lease the warehouse that my family owns.
Okay.
So they're still there, I think. But Laurel Paper is still around.
Gotcha. So where we just said you just finished your first start to finish pizza automated process. Where are you at in the deployment stage?
So 4 months out, we're going to be setting up in Tigerland. And we're in the process right now of doing our fine tuning. We have our lid placing device that we're building our 2nd generation model for. We should have that done by the end of this week or mid next week. And that's when the pizza comes out of the oven. We apply a lid on it before it goes into the warmer. But after we have that, it's going to be, fine tuning it, getting the end to end runs down to say 4 minutes. We're at 6.5 minutes right now from end to end.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's
You're
real.
going to cut 2.5?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we can.
Okay.
It's just timing and stuff like that. But right now we're just focusing on, what are the major components that we need to redesign and make sure that the system can run, say, 1,000 cycles with 0 failure rate. That's our goal. And to run 1,000 cycles with 0, or to, maybe a couple hangups, but that would probably still be okay if you had a couple hangups out of 1,000. But you try to get it to where we can run this thing in Tigerland and not have to worry about
tech out there or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're able to monitor the entire system from our computer at home, so we don't have to go out there, thank God. But we're able to do that, to see the inventory. Mitch Rotolo and his gang over there on Burbank, they're loading. We have a food transfer case. They load the pizzas up. We tell them the inventory. They're able to log in as well and see what the inventory is, so they don't have to go up there to see what the inventory is.
They don't have to do an inventory count. It's all.
Yeah, it's just kind of efficient for them to log into our system, and they make the pizzas, transport them, and we deal with the headaches. If there's any headaches, we're dealing. Sanjay and are like the maintenance liaisons who are on call 24/7.
Gotcha. So the process is actually making the pizzas, or is it just warming the pizza, cooking the pizzas?
So you do a par-baked pizza crust. You
Okay.
put it in a box. It's an ovenable box. And my mom's going to shoot me because she told me ovenable is not a word.
Ovenable?
I have heard other pizza people say ovenable. So
We'll make it a word.
okay, it's ovenable. Anyway, it's a box that is capable of going through a conveyor oven, an impinger oven, 500 degrees for up to say 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And they're rated for 30 minutes at 450, but we're doing it a little bit higher and a lot less time. But anyway, you're making the pizzas, applying the sauce, cheese toppings, loading them into a climate-controlled fridge, not a freezer, a fridge. And we're maintaining the temp from 34 to 38 degrees. And so you never want to freeze it because that's when
Right.
you destroy the integrity of the crust. But so it's fresh, never frozen. You can hold it in that state for up to 3 days. And we can store 96 plus 12-inch pizzas in our fridge.
Oh, wow.
Our first unit is 64. So we built it so that there's gaps intentionally, so that if we needed,
So you're going to add in from 64 up to 90.
we can redesign it. We're probably going to drop that whole design, and our second generation is going to be a lot lot more compact.
And that's generally how like tech evolves.
Yeah,
right? It
it's
starts
one
off
unit.
big
It's like
and
the
bulky.
iPhone.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how we're doing it as well. And so after, like, if you go up there, the idea that we wanted to capture the experience for the customer is when you're showing up in these high traffic spaces, airports, theme parks, convenience stores, like we're talking to 7-Eleven, we're talking to Six Flags, we're talking to Disney World. Although
Oh, wow.
I've only had 2 conversations with Disney World, where Six Flags is a little bit more interested, and we have a strong connection there. But the experience that we can provide those types of spaces is you walk up to the system or place your order on the app, and when you place your order, you're getting your pizza immediately, because what your system is learning the data for that space. And the trick is having the pizzas ready when the customers are hungry. So if let's say, for example, from 11 to 12, you're typically going to sell, say, 30 12-inch pizzas. Well, at 10:30, you start cooking the pizzas and have 30 pizzas in the warmer, so that when you have that flood of people coming in, and they can grab and go. So there's no waiting.
Right.
That's the experience that we wanted to create. But also, if you put this unit out into a parking lot and you wanted to have, say, walk up on one side of it, because it's a T-frame, if you wanted to have walk up on one side of it and you wanted to have the drive-through and delivery on the other side, you can do that, because having that warmer, you can manage multiple inputs. So you're able to manage the logistics, where as a normal unit, what they have on the market right now is you walk up to it, you're blocking the side, they have one touch screen, you place an order, nobody else can do anything until you get out of the way, and because they only have typically one portal.
Okay.
So you're going in there, you're placing an order, you're waiting three minutes. They're making you watch 6 30-second commercials while you can't go anywhere. Like, right, they got you trapped.
Right, because the person behind you can come and grab your pizza.
Yeah, so you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. And so that's the problem that we have the solution for. The other is if you came there with your family and you're at a theme park or something like that, or an airport, you don't have a lot of time. And you may be with 3-4 other people.
Yeah.
So you want to get 2 or 3 pizzas and you want to get them within, under a minute. Well, place your order. Once you place your order, you get a QR code. You go scan it. The shelves pop open. You grab your pizza and you go. So it's really quick. It's convenient. Is what we're really offering, is convenience. But at the same time, our design lends itself to the management of logistics for multiple inputs, which if you want to do an automated pizza kitchen on a big scale, like some of these big players, Pizza Hut and all that, you have to, they have a walk-in and they have a drive-through and they do delivery. Some of their delivery they do from third parties. Some of them they do internally with their own drivers. If you want to manage all of those logistics at the same time, you have to have a warmer. And our patent pending was built on knowing that the majority of doing an automated pizza kitchen is being able to heat and hold, so that you can do that. So we're starting off as a walk-up kiosk. It's just a simple thing that we can get out there and start making money. But we know that the complexity that our design can provide a community, or not the complexity for the consumer, but for the system itself, being able to solve a lot of problems, is you have to have the warmer to be able to do that.
Yeah, and being able to scale it, like you say.
Correct.
Bring it to theme parks, bring it to amusement parks,
Correct.
Bring it to airports. I mean, they're getting more and more. We're in the age of everything is going to be in a vending machine, right?
Yeah.
You can go to an airport and literally buy headphones and this and that and whatever you want from an all self-serviced machine. Why can't the food sector be starting to catch up in that area?
Correct. And I haven't mentioned this yet, I don't think, but we can also do wings in our system.
Yeah. So how do wings? I mean, don't get me wrong. Wings and pizza go hand in hand in a normal food mindset.
Yeah.
But how does it go hand in hand with the technology?
So it's the same process. So we try to look for foods that have the same process. So we can do pastries as well. We have a company that does this is where it really gets really cool, is that we have a beverage system that does coffee, and we can make our system smaller so that it can fit into a coffee shop. We have a company that does smart shopping, frictionless shopping, where when you come through the store, you have it tracks your face around the store, and whatever you grab off the shelf, it automatically bills you.
It's kind of like the Amazon Go store.
It is. Yeah, and they just open source their technology, so we can work.
They just open source it. Okay,
yeah, they
that's
just
huge.
open source it, so we can work with them. But we have a couple other players that are independent tech companies that have similar technology that we can work with as well. And these are via integrations. So I have a guy that does a burrito machine. I have a guy that does a beverage system, coffee. Like they can do any type of coffee for a drive-through and for walk-in. So if you partner ours up with theirs, and then you have the frictionless shopping, you've been inside a Starbucks. That's basically their entire store. Is they have some stuff that's on a shelf that you can go grab and take to the register. In this case, when you grab it, it automatically bills you. But then you have your pastries, which my system takes care of, and then you have an automated coffee system. And I bring all those together on one software platform so that the operator can manage everything from one dashboard, and the consumer can get the entire menu from their app.
And now it's the consumers walking in, grabbing everything they need to, but not having to deal with an earful when they don't read the credit card machines down.
Correct. Yeah, you don't have to talk to anybody. So we're doing that. So the pizza system can be a pastry. It can work with these other automated tech. We also have automated beer and alcohol systems. They're not ours. These are other companies that want to work with us, because having a self-pour station set up next to a pizza kitchen in a retail space is an automated pizza pub.
Right.
So you just have one employee there, or two maybe. One guy's carting, one guy's at the door, and that's it. And so that's what I'm.
And even
that's
then,
the way that I look.
you can probably get rid of people carding in the future with just a scannable,
they have a
scannable ID.
Yeah, they have all that stuff available. So that's where it's going. And I'm looking at we're looking at developing a software platform that can be an integrator for multiple systems. And what that does allows us to be a distributor. And I can go and have 30, 40 different automated food or beverage tech companies under this umbrella.
Right.
And when we go to the market selling the pizza system and all this other tech, we go to the potential operators, through our network of distributors, which we're currently creating. And when we go to them, we have a smorgasbord of tech, and it allows the operator to say, I want this, this, and this. And then we give them the software, they bring it all together, and they've got an automated whatever.
Yeah,
and they
got
white
a
label
restaurant
it.
or a
They
service
can call
station.
it whatever they want. Yeah, I don't care.
Right.
Yeah, it's more of a software as a service when we go to that. But right now we're focusing primarily 100% on just the pizza and laser focused on that, because if we don't do that right, we won't get to the other stuff. The other
You got to get that first step's got to be
Yeah, we don't
dialed
want
in,
to
right?
dilute ourselves into anything else. But we know that that's our future with this industry, and what our tech is going to inevitably roll into. At least if I have anything to do with it, it certainly will.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the future of whether it be quick service, fast casual, dining is starting to be more open to stuff like this.
Yeah.
People are starting to be more open to a self-served or a quick served idea or a concept, that having something fully automated for you walk in, punch in your order in a tablet, the next thing you know, through systems, your food pops up in front of you.
That's it. And that's what we want to eventually get to. And I think that's where everything's going. So we're trying to head it off at the pass as fast as we can go.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're going.
And I think it's truly incredible. The only thing I look at it is like from a bar standpoint, you've got your bartenders behind the bar that typically can work in an upsell. So how do you factor in an upsell?
Maybe geofencing,
market?
auto geofencing. When they purchase something, it pings another product to pop up and say, "Hey, you purchased this. You may want this." Like for example, if you're in a bar and you get a pizza and you get a beer, and I don't know what the carding is for a cigar. I like cigars,
Right.
And I would want, when I have 2 or 3 drinks, I want a cigar,
Right.
and so that would be an upsell for me. Where if you had like an automated cigar, they don't have that on the market yet that I'm aware of. But I'm saying that
Well,
if
you
they
can use
did,
the technology from Amazon where you have your humidor and everything is sensitive. And once you take the cigar out and you walk it out, now it's charging you.
That's it.
So you can integrate that type of tech, maybe not a vending machine style, but something of that nature. I'm sure would work.
Yeah. And if they do have a humidor, I've been in one of those. There's a business here over off of Jefferson Highway.
Okay.
I forgot the name of it, but
is it
they have a humidor? It's in the back. They have like all these nice couches.
Yeah, I know exactly where it's Churchill's.
Yeah, that's it, Churchill's. Yeah. And so I've gone there, and it like when I imagine that type of upsell, I would be envisioning that type of humidor where you walk in and your face is tracked just like they do at Amazon Go, and then if you grab something, it can detect and they can credit you if you put it back.
Right, and you can. I went to the Amazon Go in Seattle. Right, I think it was maybe about 6 months after they'd opened it. We went there for a trip with LSU, and you got a QR code. You scanned it in. Yep. You went through the little terminal like at a train station.
That's it.
And you walked around. And they had one employee.
Tracks you around.
They had one employee in the whole store carding for alcohol.
Yeah.
And you would walk in. They look at your ID. Okay, you're good to go. And whatever you grabbed, you put in the basket. And it felt so weird.
Yeah.
Just walking out. And I don't. Like, do I check out of the bag?
Everything?
What do I do? Like, does this count? And then sure enough, like within 5 minutes, I had a notification pop up. Here's your receipt. I was able to look at it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it was
that's going to be the
incredible.
New norm. And that's really what I want to bring to the restaurant industry. And it's done through this software program that we're working on. And, but like I said, I'm not going into that because I get all these ideas and I have to really stay focused on the pizza because we're doing really good there. We're staying on our timeline and, we get out there and start selling these things in Tigerland and create some pizzazz. And and then we raise a little bit more money. We have some serious VC firms that we're talking to. And after we do the field test, we start developing some smart software for the pizza system only.
Right.
And then, you know, we take it from there after we start scaling and learn how to scale the pizza business. And, you know, it's Katie bar the door. What do we do next? Well, we already got all these things designed, which I've taken the last 3 or 4 years of my life to design. It's because I love doing it.
Right.
It wasn't work for me. I was going to do it anyway. And so we go into the automated fried chicken and go compete with Todd Graves. And I'll do the hamburger system. There's other systems out there, but I'm going to build my own, and go compete with McDonald's, whoever, you know, whatever. It's fun, but we're in that bubble.
Or license it out.
Yeah, license it. I'll probably do that. I'm not going to run these restaurants.
Yeah, I was about to say just license.
I'm just
build the
gonna do
technology and say,
designing.
hey, here's your efficiency model.
That's
you
it.
know?
That's it. Go have fun selling cheeseburgers.
Right. I think as an entrepreneur with that mindset of always creating, always crafting, it's challenging to stay focused and to keep your mind, you know, on the straight path of what you're doing and what you're actually working on in the present moment. Because once you get to that point of success, you're like, I want to build, I can see how this applies to 6, 7 different other things, but you still got to hit that revenue market. Yeah. You know, you got to hit the revenue numbers, you got to hit that target, you got to hit all that stuff for the investors to keep funding the success.
Staying where you can keep the money, where you can scale it and have the money coming back in. Because it's very important, obviously, to
fund the next venture.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, the way that I envision this, or I have for a long time, is that I'm going to, you know, get the pizza system as far as I can, maybe 18 months from now, and then hire a management team, create an LLC, and let them take off with the pizza system. And then Sanjay and I can go and do some more development. Right. And we'll pitch to the board of directors and say, you know, where do we go next? And let a management company, somebody like Paul or somebody that's very talented, that's not my skill set, but hire somebody to take the company and scale it, like, you know, like you wouldn't believe. Because that's what we're in, that bubble where that's going to happen. And people, they're operators looking for this type of tech. And we solve a pretty good little, you know, we have a pretty good solution for a pretty decent sized market.
Yeah, it's just a matter of perfecting it and getting it ready, because they don't want to work through hiccups. Correct. They want to take something that's ready to go.
We got to take all the hiccups.
You got to take the hiccups. You got to solve, you know.
That's it.
And not 1,000. We need 10,000 successful runs with 0 errors.
That's it.
You know, that's what they need before they.
And then what happens when you do have that 1 in a million? Because those little things will.
How do you solve it?
Yeah.
And how do you solve it effortlessly?
You just have to do the controls in such a way and scale it, or, you know, set the business up with the strongest controls possible, so you don't have flimsy designs.
Right.
That's how I look at it. I like to feel comfortable that if I can set a process up, I can see it working repetitiously, you know, every cycle. Something really has to go wrong in order for that not to occur the same way.
And then here's how we're going to fix it whenever it does go wrong.
Yeah. We have a maintenance company that we're working with, that's third party, and we will require the operators to store parts locally. And there's a company called Pitney Bowes that we've been talking to for the last couple of years, and they do the third party maintenance. So we'll set it up. We give them a manual. We work with their technicians, and our company, Bars Inc., will handle the customer service side of it. So if somebody does get a bad pizza or something like that, we handle that for the operator. So we really want a hands-off type of experience for an operator who wants to come in here, have a pizza kiosk that would do, say, $150,000 a year, but on the bottom line they're doing $50,000 to $60,000 in profit. Right. But they want to be able to, say, put up 3 locations and manage it all with 1 employee. That's what we can bring them.
Yeah, they want to be able to get in, be a franchisee, correct, or a franchisor, and then be able to just run through with everything.
Correct, and we take all the headaches out. And just
keep adding, you know, keep investing their dollars to keep growing what they want to build.
Correct.
So we're starting to get to the ends of the show. Yeah. I think we could sit here and talk for hours, but we do have time limits via radio.
Yeah, if it's automation, let's do it.
Exactly. So We have a typical 4 questions that we ask everybody. And the first one is, what is something you did as a kid you wished you could still do today?
Well, I grew up in Costa Rica for a short period of time.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I grew up in
Okay.
Costa Rica. I was there for a year and a half, 2 years
Okay.
maybe. I can't remember. 2nd and 3rd grade, something like that. And I loved it. It was really a great time in my life. I don't know. That's a good question. Hunting with my dad, I always loved that. That was a lot of fun.
What was something you did as a kid that you wish you could still do today? So it's something you did as a kid that you no longer do.
Oh,
And living in Costa Rica is probably,
yeah, that's one.
that's going to be hard to top.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that experience. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay, we'll go with living in Costa Rica.
Yeah, there you go.
So what are 3 lessons? I mean, you've been in so many different businesses, involved in so many different occupations and even industries. What are 3 lessons you've learned along the way of your career so far?
Don't put the cart before the horse. Like with all these other ideas that I'm, presenting, like they're fun and all that kind of stuff, but stay grounded and get the company to make money first, and then people will talk to you more seriously. And so that would be one lesson. The other lesson, probably listen to your board of directors because
You hired them for a reason.
yeah, and they're good people. They're experienced, and I fought hard to get them. So listen to them. The other lesson would be to enjoy the experience. Because if you think about all the things that can go wrong, and you should be thinking about them, but if you stress out like that, you're going to really have a bad experience. Like my first year that I bought the paper company, I had the shingles within a month, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was horrible. And that was the same week that the Katrina thing. I didn't have electricity.
You had a bad.
It was horrible.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And couldn't get to work, couldn't get out of the house. I had no AC and had shingles. But it was because the shingles came from stress. And it was induced by my own overthinking. And so if I had it to do over again, I would say just pre-plan everything and work the plan and don't stress out about it. If it ain't going to work, it ain't going to work.
Right.
But just work as hard as you can and don't stress. That's what I would say.
I love that. Those are 3 key lessons, man. So what is it that you love about Baton Rouge?
It's not Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
So then what about Jackson, Mississippi don't you like?
I didn't like the crime. I didn't like that. That wasn't a lot of fun. I was paranoid, I guess, riding around. But no, Baton Rouge has a lot to do. I come originally from Monroe, Louisiana. That's my hometown. And Monroe is a really slow-paced type, bridges over Madison County, that type of slow type city. And I enjoy it because Baton Rouge has a lot to do. There's a lot of people here. You can always go to a different restaurant, probably a different restaurant every week for years, and you can go to a different restaurant all the time. Same thing with New Orleans. We're close to New Orleans, so doing like a culinary adventure to New Orleans is a lot of fun for me. It's within striking distance. And my first year of college, I went to Lafayette, USL, or UL now.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of fraternity brothers there. So I'm just within striking distance of them. And so I'm in a good little place, New Orleans, Lafayette, Baton Rouge. And then if I want to go up to see my dad, he's in Monroe. It's 3.5 hours away. And I'm 2 hours away from the hunt camp.
It's even better.
Yeah, and then I'm 3 hours away from saltwater fishing. So
you got everything you need.
yeah, I mean, I'm right there. I like everything about it.
That's excellent, man. And for the final question, what can I do to help?
Help find me some investors. No,
There we go.
just networking, stuff like that. Typical stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can think of some people to put you in contact
Yeah, I
with.
appreciate it.
Help you out with the
Any little bit
getting the
else.
pizza and
You
everything,
never know
man.
where a conversation is going to lead, or end up. It may not be the person you connect me with, but maybe somebody they know.
Right. And that's the beauty of Baton Rouge is the people, right?
Yeah.
Being everyone's connected to everyone, and it's a little big town.
And there's a lot of people here that are very entrepreneurial geared, like I am. Like doing that, being self driven. And I see a lot of that here where I didn't see that in the other places that I live, Jackson and Monroe. You just don't have that. You don't have the assistance. Like we have these programs where like Todd Lowry, Stephen Loy, all the people in the over at the LA Tech Park like really pull together to try to help you out, and that makes a big difference. And so I really like that about Baton Rouge.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah,
I appreciate your time. I love hearing your story. I'm excited to see it, in actuality and see it working and see it running some pizzas through there, man.
Me too. That makes two of us.
I'm looking forward to it. So thank everybody else for coming, whether you're here in person. Thank you for the little crowd we got here, or if you're watching us or you're listening to us on whatever platform you are. I really appreciate it. And I know the guests do, and we're so thankful for everyone that makes this possible, which is Government Taco. Jay Cody, we've been talking about him tonight. This man seems to be everywhere. But go over to Government Taco. They got specials every day. Thursday is Thirsty Thursday all day long. And they've also got new tacos of the month every single month. Go over there and tell them Patty G sent you. And then also to Falaya Real Estate, a local built real estate app helping you not only save your dollars, but also put you in an incredible place to make your family's dreams come true. Well, everybody, this is the latest rendition of the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G, here with Speed Bancroft of Speedy Pizzas. Y'all check him out. He's coming to Tigerland soon. Y'all have a good one. Thanks.